Hello, X Regards X here with the second video of tips and tricks for Medal of Honor. No gameplay in here, unfortunately. Sorry to say, but I find that this stuff is a huge priority over it. Because there's just so many bad players, and especially if you're going to be on my team. So we're going to go over some really important stuff and the best way to play it, because too many people play it like some Modern Warfare 2 or even Bad Company. In this game, spawn and map control is huge. So spawn is in map control. Whether it's square or linear map, your teams are mainly going to be spawning across from each other at the beginning of a game, and hopefully throughout the rest of it. So whether you want to hold it one way or the other, you gotta like hold half pretty much. And then when you come out of your spawn, half your team is going to be going the short way. Get there as fast as you can. Keep them from coming up to you. And then the people that are going a long way, you're going to probably hit enemies before you get to the center, unfortunately. So just take it slower, go from cover to cover, be cautious, and just push up slowly. If you're going to do it diagonally, it's going to be a lot easier because your team's, just going to split up evenly, go down the flanks, a couple towards the center, and there you go. On a linear map, you really want to keep it only cut one way, control of half the map a certain way, because you want to take advantage of those long fatal funnels, the hallways, trenches, whatever, the streets, because it's going to be harder for someone to move up a street versus getting across it. And if they get across it, you want a bunch of people aiming down that hallway or street. Now, when I say half the map, you really want to control 2/3 of it. You want that kill zone to be closer to their spawn, where the kill actually happens, not necessarily where you are. So, I mean, again, the 2/3 can be any direction, but you want to be in that 2/3. Even if you're sniping, don't sit in your spawn and snipe. Move up a little bit, because you just make it easier for people to move up on you. People are going to be dying on your team regardless. There's no way to to get around it. So they're going to be spawning in your spawn anyway and pulling back up. They're going to be the ones that anchor your team on your spawn. So let's see. And here's a little example of the kill zone where you want all those kills to happen. Now, example, hypothetical, let's say your team's getting spawn killed. This is how it looks when a good team does it. They have that 2/3, they're keeping you in your spawn, dropping air support. Now, what you want to do, whether you can do it or your entire team can do it, you really want to rush down and get the flank on them. Whether you throw down the smoke, you get halfway, and then you have to start being cautious and get around them slowly. Or you just, or if you have your whole team, you could sort of rush a little better. But other than that, you really can't rush by yourself. But getting the flank as a single person still is a huge advantage for your whole team. Helps them get out of that. If the other team makes a mistake, or if you start getting the flank on them pretty well, what's going to happen is the spawns are probably going to change, because they'll be pushing up and spawning more in the center. And if your team is smart enough, or do what you can as much as you can to get this to happen, you actually take advantage of that. And since you'll have the flanks on the center, you'll be actually get the flanks on the other opposite corner, and you'll bring the kill zone in to the opposite end and switch the spawns completely. Now, let's say this is your game on a linear map, right? It's all good and dandy. This is an example of why it sucks to switch the spawns. Let's say you're this orange guy, right? In the next slide, you have some teammates are too impatient. They rush up, and they get the flank on the spawn. Boom, you got people spawning behind you, all over the place, right behind you. It's because too many people are impatient, and you really got to think about that for the sake of your whole team and yourself, because it's going to happen to you the more you do it yourself or somebody else does it. So spread the word. Tactical movement, pounding a corner is a huge deal. When if somebody's in front of you and they go around a corner, usually the area is clear and you could run as much as you want towards that corner. But if they die, or if you're the first person going towards the corner, don't run. I know you have infinite sprint and stuff, but don't use it. You want to be iron-sighted on that corner in case somebody does come around it, so you're ready for them. And once you get up to it, you're going to rotate around that corner, keeping your weapon in front of the corner. Don't let it go around it, because you'll flag it and people will see that before you get around it, and they'll know you're coming. So don't flag your weapon, come around the corner slowly, clear out the area from out to in, and there you go. And then chances where you can actually do it as far away from the corner as you can as possible, as long as you don't get vulnerable from another angle, only because you actually be a smaller target when you reveal yourself compared to the other person. And if there's cover at that corner, like a box or something, even better, because again, it makes a smaller target for the other team. Now, here's your area of responsibility. Your area of responsibility is your sector of fire. Sector of fire can change when you're moving and stuff, but area of responsibility is what happens when you're at a position you're holding, and you gotta, anybody that comes in that area of responsibility, that's your target. Don't be straying off and looking at different directions or anything unless it's gonna mess up your team pretty bad. So here's a nice example. Let's say your team spawned in the bottom left or right corner of this map. It's a very rough draft, and we're gonna say, for the sake of this example, there is no second floor inside rooms other than that little sniper room or any other objects on this map, except for that one little box, I think, on the sniper warehouse. Anyway, so let's say these are all the sectors of fire, right? All your areas of responsibility, because this is what you want it to look like. You want people to be using their head, control half the map, keep them back in their spawn, that kind of thing. And to give a better example of how important, crossing sectors of fire are and whatnot, we're going to actually do this, and you'll see just how intense how much firepower can be put on those really important spots. And if we zoom in on this right part here, you're going to see this isn't exactly accurate, because there's no stairway there, there's no hole in the wall, there's no hill on the other side per this example. If that stuff was true, this is what it would really look like, just to give a more accurate example of crossing sectors of fire. Now, one very annoying thing that happens is when, let's say you're sitting there watching a corner, or let's say I'm sitting there, because it happens to me a million times, and you're watching, your area, a guy's about to come around the other corner, something happens, you start getting shot at, and you get back in the cover, you're about to move back, and some asshole is standing right fucking there. Don't do that. Don't go to the same place as your teammates. Don't look at their backs. Look at a different direction and watch somebody else's back. You're gonna help your team out by looking and covering more area versus the same area as somebody else, or at least from a different angle, cover the same area, because you'll get a little more to the left or the right, as you saw the crossing sectors of fire. And if you want to move up, use that person covering that area ahead of you to your advantage and move up, like in this example here. So either find a new spot or move up, but only if it's not going to mess up the spawns. Now, balancing the map pretty much means, let's say you spawn here, right? So you know what your spawn is, and these are where your teammates are. Now, where are you going to go? You want to go to the right, because you want your kill zone to be opposite of where your team is, where you're spawning, and you don't want the other team to get a good flank on you. Otherwise, they would have came down the right once it was weak enough and flanked your entire team, and then they would have switched the spawns again, and it would just created a whole bunch of chaos for no reason. Now, in a linear map, let's say this is you, and this is the rest of your team, and that's where you spawned. What do you want to do? Well, you'll notice that the concentration of your team is closest to a spawn on one side. So what you want to do is you want to actually secure that spawn by moving back a little bit, and then coming up once you know that you're going to have that spawn, and keep them back in that kill zone. So here's a little list of how not to be a Medal of Honor noob. Hope you enjoyed, got something out of it. Look forward to the next video. We'll have gameplay, and thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. Later.